Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. Well, what are we going to talk about today? I don't really know what to talk about. I recorded some Happy in Paradise last night. I don't actually know if I actually started uploading them. I need to work on my thumbnail and I need to a million and one things I need to do. Of course, but that's no different from usual. Sorry, I just need to, did I even upload a video? Did I actually upload it last night? I generally don't remember if I did or not. I hope I did. Transparency. Yeah, okay, I did. Hello everyone, and I'm Fawnhallow at 6:04 PM on Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. So I didn't upload the Animal Crossing ones, but okay, I have videos all the way up to June 15th for other stuff, so now I just need to record Happy in Paradise. I've done 3 of them, and I need to do 5 more over the next 2 days, I think. Well, it could be 3 days to be honest, but on Thursday I probably want to leave it as a blank evening. If anything, honestly, today might just be me doing like 5 Happy in Paradises in a row. They were all super rapid fire to be honest, and honestly, I think they were okay. You know, with the third one, I think that I recorded, it'll be Flo's one when it goes up. I actually thought it was pretty decent, surprisingly. I will say I'm probably sort of like petering out on my creative, not my creative limit necessarily on Happy Home Paradise. But more like I thought there would be like that zeal that would come back and be like, oh, you know, I'm really like digging the Happy in Paradise sort of like customizations again. It would be with my honest confession that I'm like, but okay. I think it probably doesn't help that I'm doing this like rapid fire customization with them. That it's not that it's necessarily taking away from the enjoyment, but it doesn't allow me to really like sink my teeth into it anymore. But I'm also like not infused enough to like sink my teeth and do like these big customizations anymore, but I think they're still fun. It's almost like a puzzle in a way, like a creative puzzle. Anyway, what else can I talk about? I watched Dropout's new the Game Changer finale. If you don't know what Game Changer is, it's honestly like fantastic. Like I'm almost envious of the entire situation, but not envious enough to really stew there in my own jealousy. More like envious of like that'd be like a really fun thing to like participate in, I think. But Dropout, if you don't know, Dropout is what used to be called College Humor. Game Changer is, you probably know about it, it's like an online, not online, but it's like a game show they create where the premise is that every single episode is a whole different game show, and they all go, they run the wild and wacky and wonderful gamut of things. You know, some of them are sort of like parodies of actual real life game shows, like I'm trying to think of a newer season. They had like the Newlywed Show. I'm trying to remember this, but they're all like silly, sort of fun in the end. And they've had some really creative ones, to be perfectly honest, and they're very entertaining. You know, and again, not sponsored or anything like that, but I thoroughly enjoyed like this entire, especially this new season. This entire new season is fantastic. Like every single one has been a banger. But basically, the finale has come out. Or the first episode of finale, and as I understand it, next week will be the second episode of finale, but I'll be on holiday, so I probably can't watch it. I mean, I might watch it on holiday, but I don't know. See, it's interesting, because I'll talk about it more, but the holiday sort of split into one half, the first half being much more intensive, and the second half being much more relaxed. So maybe I'll do it during a relaxed time. I genuinely don't know. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say about this. Was I going to say anything? Maybe not. Oh yeah, so the final episode of the final one they have come out is apparently it's based off or inspired by, I should say, a reality TV show called The Circle, which I've literally never heard of before. Well, or I think the name The Circle was familiar to me. Like I feel like I vaguely heard of it, but like I could not have told you what it was about because I've never seen it and I don't even know what it looks like. But The Circle is, as I understand it, it's basically like a reality TV show all about catfishing, kind of, where you're like a group of people who, I don't know, like I'm not really into reality TV, to be perfectly honest. If you are, more power to you. It just does not entertain me in the slightest. But you are, basically it was like, I don't know, some amount of people who are in a social circle, and each of them, they can't see each other. They can't see each other in real life. So everyone is basically anonymous to each other. The only way they can interact is through this fictional social media platform. But the thing is with a social media platform is you can present yourself in any way you choose. You can be genuine and present yourself as normal, or you can twist the truth slightly and present yourself as larger than your, greater than you actually are, or you can completely lie and just present yourself as a completely different person or something. So that's, as I understand it, what this entire premise is based around, this final game changer show. They're just doing that, except for it's more from a comedic slant rather than necessarily as much a reality TV one. And I think it's really cool. Like, it's one where, it's not, watching it, I don't think it's going to be my favourite premise of a show. I think it's still like very creative and it's still really cool. And if anything, I think the production value on it is really awesome. Because there's a lot of parts of it I do like. I find it really amusing. But at the same time, I'm like, I wonder how they're going to keep it from not feeling just samey. I know that there is like a slight sort of like sprinkle of a twist. Which I think is sort of like immediately obvious when you're watching as a viewer, but not if you're an actual participant. Which I'm not going to spoil for you if you want to watch it yourself, but the twist didn't hit me all that hard, mainly because, well, how should I put it? I don't know. I don't want to say anything without giving it away, but mainly because I just didn't know about anything about what the twist is, essentially. But I'm interested in it. It's still entertaining nonetheless. It's still a very good episode, I think. But it's amusing to like think of it like within, obviously, I'm not parasocial, like, well, I like to think I'm not parasocial. I don't know these people, they're comedians. They're nothing more than just sort of like entertainers, because, you know, I will never know them, they'll never know me, probably. I don't mean that in like a dismissive way, I mean that in a way where it's like you know, I feel like you got to understand the sort of, the dynamic you have with the entertainment that you consume, especially with the advent of much more interactive social media, I suppose, online, and the more things being more connected now than ever. The facade of like a friendship over like these online spaces, like, not these online spaces, but over like this like entertainment, like entertainer and consumer dynamic is like shifting, right? I mean, that's like what parasocialism is, especially with like Twitch streams and whatnot, and this interaction you can have with a chat. You can build up this sort of one-sided dynamic of a relationship. I like to feel like I'm reasonably grounded when it comes to it, and understand that that like I'm not ever going to know these people on the screen. I don't really have a desire to, you know. If they like stumbled into my life and they were like, hey, you want to be friends, I'd be like, sure, why not? Because they seem like cool people, but at the same time, that's not like even remotely plausible, and I already have friends which I thoroughly enjoy the presence of a lot. So really watching this, I don't know if that's necessarily a sign of maturity or something, but I could certainly see myself in another life and younger, you know, watching this and sort of like vicariously being like, I wish I was there, sort of thing. That I kind of reserve just for like fiction stories, and just trying to imagine like what character I would insert into the story to round up the entire thing, if it even needs one. You might be like, what on earth are you talking about? I'm pretty sure I talked about this before, but anyway, we're not going to delve into that now. I was basically just like trying to imagine what would that be like to run with my own group of friends. If anything, you know, like Sam Reich? I feel like I should know how to say his surname, seeing as he says his name like on every single episode of whatever. But, you know, now I'm starting to doubt myself, and not in the same way about Phineas and Ferb song. Or maybe in that same way, I don't know. But he's kind of like living the dream, right? You know, you just get a bunch of friends, you get like a budget to basically run these like goofy things or whatever for your friends, these fun quiz shows. Obviously, that's not something which is necessarily going to happen in my reality. Like, what I'd love to be able to do something like that. At the same time, I don't think this is like, oh, hold on. Separation of this, because doing fun things for my friends with my friends is something, yeah, of course I'd want to do. Doing it as like a TV show and like a presentation situation, I'm like less hesitant on, because, you know, not everyone wants to be, you know, like someone on the screen, right, to do something. Not everyone wants, not to say be a star, because it's not really like you're a star, but not everyone wants to be, you know, not everyone wants to be cast. Some people want to be crew, some people don't want even to be involved, right? That's all totally fair. But that's kind of like what this sort of merging is of these like dropout shows, right? It's like they are a bunch of friends, but they are also entertainers and probably doing things for the sake of entertainment. But it kind of works for them because they're all comedians. They all like basically signed up, be like, hey, I want to be part of a cast, you know, etc., etc. But it's not like that's how my friendship group formed in the first place. But it's still, I still like to think about like what it would be like. So really, they are recording the show for entertainment purposes and to have fun, right? Well, if I were to do it for myself, with my friendship circle, with like this infinite made up budget I do, which I don't have, it would just be for entertainment within ourselves, which, it's still like fun in its own right, but it's not like there's plenty of ways I suppose to have fun, which is why this is like, now I'm sort of like trying to talk this through in my head, which is why maybe this doesn't feel as like such a necessity, but it's fun to think about. But I was basically thinking about within my own friend circle, because the entire premise is basically they changed it up slightly, where there's X number of them, and they all adopt fake personas or larger than life personalities, which they will masquerade as for the remainder of the game. And basically the premise is you have conversations with each other as these personas, etc., and you basically try and suss out who it is behind the mask for each person. The thing which I think is interesting is that they have like quite a large cast, and they all know each other, of course, reasonably well. But they have a large cast, but they don't know who else is participating. So not only is it like a puzzle to figure out who's behind each mask, we had to find out who even is possible to be behind each mask in the first place, which has made it very entertaining. Of course, as a viewer, you kind of had like perfect information. You see everything which is going on. Otherwise, I think it could have been an interesting way to experience the show without knowing what's going on and having things slowly revealed to you. But I think, honestly, it's much better this way, that you know exactly what's going on, so you can cut back and forth between people and see exactly who's saying what and who's reacting to what. Makes it entertaining. But it slightly makes me wonder, would I be able to do what they do in that show with my friends? And I don't know. Obviously, there's the big, obvious thing is that all of those people on that show are comedians. They are fantastic at improv comedy compared to the average person, right? They're quick on their feet. They can think ways of being entertaining, amusing, funny, and they can do it maybe not just immediately like that, but they can do it relatively quickly. My friends, not to say that they're not meant to be, but like none of them are comedians. I don't have any friends who are like stand-up comedians or anything like that. Myself, I'm not either. We're all just like people, not to say that comedians aren't people, you know what I mean? But basically none of them have spent the last like decade practicing improv comedy or anything like that. So certainly that's one caveat, is like the improvisation will definitely be a lot harder if we did with our friends. But it makes me wonder, like, if I was in that position as well, one, I'd probably rather be in like Sam's seat, the directorial of what's going on. But I think it would also be quite fun to see if I would be able to guess who is pretending to be someone else, right? I mean, there's a little bit of it now I think about it in that game Monster Seeking Monster on Jackbox, although it's kind of inverted, right? Because that one, the personas are hidden, right, rather than the people. But it's interesting, because it's sort of tangentially related to this idea of which I'm trying to think how to phrase this idea, which comes up a lot when you are creating and writing characters, is this idea that it's hard to get rid of your own voice, right? And I don't mean in like a literal sounding way of like what my voice sounds like, but like the way you speak, the timbre of things, the pacing, the pitch, and like the way you phrase things, the way you approach conversations and how you talk about them. It's that unmistakable part of you which is difficult to shake off. And I think about it a lot because as I always say, I love ensemble casts of characters as like a main cast of characters rather than following just one person. I like to see a load of different personality types in there and see how they sort of play off each other and the dynamics and things you can explore from it. But the thing is, whenever I try and do it myself, I suppose, and I think it becomes doubly true with D&D, is how do I... Like, there's an unmistakably me, there's an unmistakable dear darling, I suppose, formula, like backbone to all of the characters I play, and like I think about it myself, that all of my characters tend to talk quite probably, because I tend to talk quite properly. Well, I try to, I suppose that's ironic, I kind of fumbled that entire sentence. I tend to talk quite flowery, I tend to talk quite, like, properly, like, the only fillers I really use are like, sometimes as well, but I don't do much in the way of contractions. And even if I can change up my accent, even if I can change up the pitch of my voice, still my word choice, my improv word choice that I use, and the way I phrase things, the way I structure or approach these conversations, still has an unmistakable me flavour to it, which is difficult to get rid of. And honestly, I'm not sure if it's something that you should aspire to get rid of unless you are like an actor or something. But even as an actor, you'll have a script, right? So that sort of like lessens the burden, I'd imagine. But like as a writer, I suppose, how do you shake your own voice? How do you like lose your own voice? How do you fully adopt it where people will listen to you do a different voice, a different accent, and they'll be like, that's a different character, rather than, hey, that's Dear Darling being this character. And I don't know, because it's a very sort of like intrinsic, instinctive thing, isn't it? Like what defines the way I speak, what defines the things which, like if I was on this theoretical circle, or as they call it on Dropout, it's the ratfish, what would like clue me away to be people being like, that must be Dear Darling being that character? And the answer is, I don't know necessarily. Like what I would guess is, I think the obvious ones would be like talking in full sentences and using punctuation. Because like, I mean, think about my friends, they use caps, they use like improper punctuation a lot of the time. Not all of them, like some of them do. And I like rarely ever do, which would definitely give me away. But I already know about that. So then I would think about it. So I would basically type using contractions. I would type using shortenings to try and sort of like leaving that out. But it's like, what else would give me or could give me away? And I don't really know. That's harder to explain, I suppose, or harder to conceptualize, in my opinion. I think it must just be the way I would phrase things. Like, I have a certain sort of, like, rhythm to the way I phrase my sentences, right? Which, I'm not going to say it's necessarily unique. It's not like a fingerprint, but it would be identifiable enough that people would make that association subconsciously, right? And it's a thing I think a lot with the characters I play in D&D as well, because it's like, how do I not do that? And the answer is, I don't really know. I'm trying to figure out what to do for the doodles here, so I'm just kind of doing it like this and seeing what's going off. Sorry, not for the doodles, so the thumbnail art. What? That's more of a description thing. I need something short and punchy here. Up here. Dear. Wait, like it's more like my vocal fingerprint. Question mark? Like what parts of my speech are unmistakably me? But even if you change your voice, you change the accent, you change your character supposedly I was playing, what would still remain as a common link between them all? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure I could put it into words. Is the harder part of it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this episode up here because I've kind of like, feel like I've run that conversationally through. And I don't know, like, the rest of it's just going to be me sitting here being like, I really wonder what does make this XYZ. Anyway, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. On likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.